Hello, Midland, Texas. I think you're going to find this story real interesting. It's important to your safety and health and your family's safety and health. And as they're falsifying medical records at the hospital here, some doctors are. There's absolute 100% proof of this. It's been turned into the Texas Medical Board. It's been turned into the FBI. And, of course, it goes along with all the other mask cover-up, corruption, obstructed justice that's going on, which puts your family at risk. I'm going to start this off with a Facebook post today where I was telling a story. It's 7 years ago, in 2012, right after I shot. I told the late Dr. Glass's wife, I said, I'm getting real tired of this. And she said, I bet you are. She knew what was going on. There was no doubt in the way she said it, and that she knew what was going on. So here I'm going to show you here that I first proved they were faking my x-rays at the office of the late Dr. Glass when he hung this x-ray on the light box, and I noticed a recent and severe broken bone was missing. It wasn't my foot in the x-ray. I questioned him on this, and he started stuttering. I've never seen a person so obviously busted in my life. He tried to point out the break in the opposite direction, and I wonder who told him to that. Somebody got to him and ordered him to fake these x-rays. And so this was actually took him with my phone, and that was a 2012 phone of the x-ray that we'd supposedly just taken, was put up on the wall. I had a printed out sheet of a previous x-ray where it showed I had broke a bone in my foot 4 months before the murder attempt. And that's what I was showing here. There wasn't no broken bone here, and you can see the broken bone there that was 4 months before the murder attempt. And so it was just super clear that they faked that x-ray. And when I questioned him on it, then that's when he started stuttering. And so that was really my first proof, because I couldn't figure out what's going on. I kept seeing this foot full of full of pellets. There wasn't enough room for me to be shot with a shotgun. It made no sense. I knew burglar alarms were going off when I shot. I mean, reported my first burglary 14 months before, I was ambushed and shot. And so the second proof that I found of fake x-rays is when I noticed that the heel bone was missing in the x-ray taken before I had surgery. That was on the night of the murder attempt, January 28, 2012. I knew that it wasn't shot off, as I only had 2 small holes in my foot when I got to the ER, which was described by the ER doctor as a through and through gunshot wound. This was at 100% absolute proof that it wasn't my foot in the x-ray, but it had my name on it, okay? And I'm going to show you here. And what I did was here on this side over here, this is the x-ray when I broke that toe, okay? And so it's dated there in, what is that, September 28, 2011. And you can see the size of the heel bone. That is my foot, okay? That's what my foot looks like. And I use that for comparison because on January 28, 2012, just a few months later, you see this x-ray, this foot full of pellets, and notice the heel bone is missing, okay? That's what my heel bone looks like. That's what the heel bone was shown, and it has my name on it, okay? Well, I knew it wasn't shot off. I mean, it's missing. That's not my foot, okay? That's somebody else's foot that was shot with a shotgun, obviously, and they put my name on it. And so that was my second proof that I had there. And I want to go on a little bit further into that same thing. I said that I had 2 small holes in my foot when I got the ER, and the ER doctor called it a through and through gunshot wound. But Midland detective Rosa Rodriguez, who happens to be childhood lifelong friends of the ex-wife that's alleged to be involved in the shooting. You remember Rosa Rodriguez met me at the 7-Eleven, said she wasn't there. She's lied and lied and lied. Anyway, she made up a lie and said that my heel bone was blown off, right? And so that is going against what the doctor said or what I said. That just comes out of the mouth of Rosa Rodriguez that's just lied and lied and lied. Obviously, she knew about the faked x-rays, okay? And that's why she made up that lie. She was caught lying many times on the police reports and perjured herself in court. And I have many examples of the tie wire lie, where she's the only person that said there was a tie wire out of 12 police, including the CSI, and there's no pictures of a tie wire wire, there's no tie wire and evidence, is a lie. And she went under court testimony, perjured herself in a protective order here, and that was only one example of her lying. But you can see here, this is right from the ER report. The emergency room doctor exhibits a through and through gunshot wound. That's what I said. I had this one, I had one hole on the front right side of my foot, and then a little bigger hole in the back side, and the front side's where they supposedly pulled the wadding at. Okay, here it is, a plastic wadding from the shotgun extruding from the skin of the lateral over, supposedly, okay? And so that's still in question if there was a shotgun wadding or not, but that's a different topic. But here's Rodriguez here, the detective that lied and lied and lied. It's such a key player in this premeditated capital murder attempt. Remember, triple proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun, so it's a murder attempt. And she says Buddy did not have a right heel. Well, that's totally different what the doctor said. It's totally different what I said. Why did Rodriguez say it? And she said it because she somehow knew they were faking that x-ray, because that faked x-ray, there wasn't no heel bone. It wasn't my foot in there, okay? Let's go on to the next one. The third proof here was when I noticed the timestamps on the x-rays were before they were ordered and had been taken. Here's what happened. The ER doctor orders 3-foot x-rays at 11:37, but then a secret lab tech named User In Interface cancels the doctor's orders and reorders 2 x-rays at 11:41. This person then returns x-rays timestamped at 11:27, which was 10 minutes before they were originally ordered or taken. Nobody will identify User In Interface. Well, why do you think User In Interface canceled the doctor's orders? Well, it's obviously why. The reason they were already working on faked x-rays, and they didn't have enough to fill the order. And there it shows it right here. ER doctor orders 3 x-rays at 11:37, okay? And User In Interface here reorders 2 x-rays 11:41, canceled by User In Interface. Nobody will tell us who User In Interface. And nobody will tell us how many other people. That's where it affects your life and family and your safety, because we don't know how many times User In Interface has faked x-rays. Maybe you went in there and you hurt your arm, they told you it was broken, it wasn't your arm in the x-ray. Maybe you went in there for a chest x-ray, they showed you this spot on your x-ray, on your chest, and it wasn't your chest. All they did was take somebody else's x-ray and put your name on it. That's what's going on, folks. And here's the time stamped, okay? That's what it's showing. 11:27, 10 minutes before it was ordered, okay? Who is User In Interface? I mean, that's the $1.5 million question, ain't it? A few months later, I get more x-rays taken, and the radiologist, Dr. Hinton, states that he compares my x-rays from the injury date of 1/17/12 to others I had taken on 1/19/12. Okay, no problem with that. Well, yeah, there is a problem. The problem was that I was shot 11 days after this on 1/28/12. He sure wasn't looking at my x-rays. That was 2 different dates. That wasn't a typo. They didn't make a typo. They were looking at somebody else's x-rays. And I suspect it was the guy's foot in the faked x-rays. Somebody was shot with the shotgun in that foot 11 days before me. And I've even wondered if that gave them the idea of how to murder me and call it an accident, and they were planning on using them faked x-rays. Interestingly, Dr. Hinton charged the insurance company for x-rays on the night of the murder attempt when they were faked. So some people are wondering if Dr. Hinton is User In Interface. Remember, we still don't know who User In Interface is. But what we know for sure is Dr. Hinton charged the medical insurance for faked x-rays. That's an absolute fact. I have 100% proof on that. And a lot of people call that medical fraud. Of course, I'm not law enforcement, but a lot of people call that medical fraud if you're charging for faked x-rays, right? And here is the radiological report where Dr. Hinton shows the wound injury date of 1/17/12 compared to other ones on 1/19/12. Here it is by Dr. Hinton right there, transcribed by Lori Dotson, and I was shot on 1/28/12. I think Dr. Hinton might have some questions to answer for the FBI, is what it seems to me. In 2012, the news was showing this radiologist is charged with aggravated sexual assault of a child, Wimpy or whatever. So I Googled the guy's name. In 2017, Dr. Wimpy was arrested for child sex crime. So I Googled his name, and to my surprise, he was in the same office as Dr. Hinton and the ER doctor. Dr. Hinton and the ER. Come to find out, the ER doctor turns out to be the brother-in-law of the ex-wife that had filed divorce on 5 days earlier. She's alleged to be involved in the shooting by her former boyfriend. And she's also the one that told me in 100% sincerity, the secret is a group of doctors that kill them people for profit. I testified to that under oath in court, right? I told the Texas Rangers that. I told the FBI that. I don't have that recorded that she told me that, but you know my word's good. So anyways, they took the x-rays of another guy that had been shot with a shotgun, because I hadn't been, and they put my name on it. Then they took me into surgery and cut out my heel bone to match the faked x-rays. I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, and crippled for life to cover up this failed murder. There's a lifelong cost of violent crimes for the victims. Before I was shot, I'd called the police, the Texas Rangers, the FBI, and the DEA reporting crimes at my home. Now I'm crippled for life. There's a picture of my foot after I was intentionally maimed, mutilated, and dismembered, crippled for life at the hospital to cover up this premeditated murder attempt. After the first surgery came the repeated and desperate attempts to talk me into allowing them to cut off my leg at the knee, called the below-the-knee amputation, a BKA. I'm sure they didn't want anybody to see what they had done to an innocent crime victim. Thanks to my dad giving me hints that something fishy was going on, I kept saying no. You can see that even MBT Detective Rosa Rodriguez mentioned amputation in the police reports. It's obvious why she wanted to see my leg cut off. And that's that top one come from police reports. It says Buddy had surgery and his foot was not amputated. That's the words of Midland Detective Rosa Rodriguez and the lifelong friend of the ex-wife who's alleged to be involved in the shooting. Okay, and I just did a recent video called $1,800 a month for life. Y'all see that. It's an extortion attempt that was made a few months before the murder attempt, and admission to it recorded on camera, but over and over and over. And this one was the discharge record, which I think is important because the discharge record says, let's see here, an attempt was made to place him because we thought the police department required that he not go home. Eventually, we found out that was not true, and he had been cleared by mental health services. Cleared by mental health services. Do you know how many liars have called me crazy to cover up this for-profit capital attempted murder? And I've been cleared by the doctors all this time. You know, they were just bold-faced lies by these killers to cover up a for-profit murder. And over and over and over, they wanted to cut my leg off. Amputation. Day after day, amputation. BKA, below the knee amputation. These are different days. Amputation. This went on for months. Months. I mean, all the way up until they took the wound vac off 2 or 3 months later, and they were mentioning below the knee amputation. I mean, this cannot be allowed to happen to another human being. It's been compared to Dr. Mengele in Nazi Germany. It's how sick these medical crimes are. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.